So what is an IEP? An IEP is an individual education plan. It could be called an ILP, which is individual learning plan. They can look very, very different depending on different schools, and certainly not every child needs one. When I start looking at doing a formal IEP, it would be because the child needs something significantly different than the other children inside that classroom. Otherwise, I try and do a very simplified, just goal-setting plan about what we're going to do differently. If it's across the board, then I'm going to do a full IEP. If it's one or two tweaks that I'm trying to make with the teacher, then we're going to do that more as an impact sprint or as a collaborative project between us to try and make those changes. It's not going to involve an entire IEP. The IEP outlines, now this is according to the ministry, it outlines who will be working with your child, what their role will be, and what they will do. So often an IEP will include a whole list of people. So you may have the learning support coordinator in there, or the LSC. You may have the SENCO, or the special needs coordinator in there. You may have the gifted coordinator in there. You may have someone from senior leadership, so the principal or the deputy principal. You could have the counsellor sitting there if there's emotional issues around there. If you've got wraparound support, you may have someone from the ministry sitting there. You may have someone from the crisis management team sitting there. I think the largest IEP I've been involved in, there were 15 of us around that table trying to discuss what we were going to do with this child and how we were going to work things out. Or it could just be a very simple, the teacher, one of the parents, working out what is the plan moving forward. So it's going to outline who are the people involved. The IEP is also going to talk about how you and your family and whānau can support your child's learning at home. So there needs to be an element inside it about what are the things that mum and dad, or mum or dad, or mum and mum, or dad and dad, whoever's at home looking after this child, what are things that they can do at home? Whenever we're talking about an IEP, we want to set up systems and strategies and structures that are done at home and at school. So if you've got particular warning words that are going to be used in regards to getting ready, then that is going to be recorded inside the IEP so that both the whānau and the teacher are using the same language to help reinforce those skills. The IEP will also outline any teaching strategies that are going to support the child to learn, what resources or special equipment may be used, and finally what success is going to look like for that child if this IEP is going to be successful. As I said, they're being used very differently around schools. Now, the majority of schools where I've seen the IEP process is very much a weakness-based document. So it's talking about what is this child bad at and how do we do things to fix what they're doing. Now this goes completely against my philosophy of education and my way of working with both teachers and students. If we continue to focus on the challenge or the weakness, we have we've run a real risk that's the weakness is the only thing that's going to improve. In fact, and by saying improve, I mean the weakness is going to get worse. We know from research around both adults and children is if we just focus on weaknesses, the weaknesses will increase and become more of a problem. Whereas if we use the strengths-based approach, then that actually begins to mitigate or to balance out those weaknesses. In adult research, they've taken this further in regards to what a strengths-based approach will do, and this is something that you could take to your teams around your growth cycle for attestation if you wanted to. If we focus on anything for 12 months, it's going to increase, right? So that's what we're talking about. You're putting your attention on it, so therefore it becomes more of an issue if it's a weakness, or your strengths become better if it's a strength. There's research in an adult context around engagement at work that found if you spend 12 months of your performance appraisal focusing on the things that you're bad at, then you actually have a negative 24, I'm not getting my numbers right today, a negative 26.4% decrease in your performance. So you've had a performance appraisal, they've told you what you're doing wrong, your goal for 12 months is to do that better. They found across the board you actually do things negative 26.4% worse than you were doing before they told you what was wrong with it, right? When we switch it, and again, under research conditions, they've done this, and instead of in a performance appraisal telling you what you're bad at, they talk about what you're good at and how you can do more of what you're good at. They found there's a 36.4% increase in performance in your role. Now, think about translating that into the classroom. If we start looking at what kids are good at rather than what they're bad at, right? That's pretty massive. So that's over 50% difference between their performance inside their role. If we could raise that with kids, we're going to have amazing classrooms, and we're going to have amazing adults that come out of those classrooms. So it's something to really begin to think about.